What up, though? Yo. So we're back. We left off mid Revelation 13, right here on verse 15, as you can see. So we're just going to jump right back into it. If you're just coming across this channel for the first time, we study the Bible. That's basically the gist of it. Me, you, and Gemini. So yeah, if you're into that, subscribe. If you're exploring the claims of Christ, this is a good place to be. I try to do this every single day. Uh, it's been pretty consistent for the past going 2 weeks now. But anyway, yeah, it's a good daily driver if that's what you're looking for, because that's what I want to use it for myself. I'm no expert, so I'm learning out loud and just following Christ. Okay, so verse 15 is where we left off. And it was allowed to give breath to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast might even speak and might cause those who would not worship the image of the beast to be slain. So we left off here because I wanted to. That little peel of space is bugging me. Let me just. Okay. Yeah, so I wanted to get a breakdown of this. Explain Revelation 13, 15, ESV. Revelation 13:15 is a pivotal verse in the New Testament's apocalyptic imagery, focusing on the relationship between the second beast, often called the false prophet, and the first beast, which is the Antichrist. The person, not the symbolism. The literal Antichrist embodied. Number one, key components of the verse: allowed to give breath. In biblical Greek, the word for breath is pneuma, which can also mean spirit or life. The phrase "it was allowed" is a common theme in Revelation, meaning God is still in control but allowing this to happen. The divine passive, suggesting that while this power is terrifying, it is ultimately limited and permitted by God for a specific period. This breath makes the statue or image appear to be a living, sentient entity. The image of the beast might even speak. The second beast uses deception and signs to convince the world to create an idol of the first beast. In the ancient world, many pagans believed statues could speak or move through divine intervention. Here, the text describes a supernatural or technological deception that gives the idol a voice to issue commands. The ultimatum: worship or death. The purpose of the speaking image is not just a miracle for show, it is an enforcement mechanism. The verse establishes a totalitarian religious and political system. There will be mandatory worship. The image demands a public display of loyalty, and capital punishment. Refusal to participate in this state-mandated cult results in execution. And so this, this sounds very much to me like, I said yesterday, I truly believe we're in the end times, because you look at everything that's going on around us in society, and obviously there's a big elephant in the room: AI. This sounds to me right up AI's alley. Obviously not right now, although it's already very, they anthropomorphize the hell out of it. It is just a tool right now, but I can see it. I'm not saying it's inherently evil, but I think in the future, this idol, this imagery, I think will be some form of AI technology. But who knows? Historical and theological interpretations. The interpretation of this verse generally falls into three main schools of thought. Preterist, past, refers to the imperial cult of Rome, where subjects were required to burn incense to the emperor's image. Priests sometimes use speaking tubes or ventriloquism to make statues appear to talk. Excuse me. Historicist views the image as a long-standing institution, so more symbolic than actual literal thing. And then there's the futurist view, expects a literal future global dictator who utilizes advanced technology like AI, holograms, or robotics to create a living image that enforces worldwide worship. the context of the mark, this verse sets the stage for the infamous verses that immediately follow, describing the mark of the beast. So let's just read that. What was that? Okay, verse 16. Also, it causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark, that is, the name of the beast or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let the one who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So if you're not well read, and that's totally fine, but now you know. I mean, this is where that reference comes from, 666. It comes directly from the Bible, and that is the number of the beast. And so, in simple terms, this is saying that there will be a mandate that you either get a literal mark, like imagine, like, those little chips they implant in you now. I think it's even in play. Obviously, it's not mandated anywhere yet, but the technology already exists where you can embed like little chips, and then that's basically like having your debit card and your identity all embedded into a little chip in your arm. So you can think of it like that, except the mark of the beast will also come with much larger implications. If you take the mark of the beast during the tribulation, you are rejecting God. So don't take the mark. If by some chance you're seeing this video and this is the only time you ever hear of it, and then you happen to be alive during the tribulation, why is it? My bad. Let me shut off Teams. Just don't take the mark. If you take the mark of the beast, you are rejecting God. It says that. We'll cover that. But yeah, don't take the mark. And they will kill you for not taking the mark. Don't take the mark. That's rejecting God, and that means you get to spend an eternity in hell, and that's not what any of you want. Okay, so the Lamb and the 144,000, Revelation 14. Then I looked, and actually, let me get some water. Feeling dry. Okay. Then I looked, and behold, on Mount Zion stood the Lamb, and with him 144,000, who had his name and his father's name written on their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven like the roar of many waters and like the sound of loud thunder. The voice I heard was like the sound of harpists playing on their harps. I keep wheezing. The voice I heard was like the sound of harpists playing on their harps, and they were singing a new song before the throne and before the four living creatures and before the elders. No one could learn that song except the 144,000 who had been redeemed from the earth. It is these who have not defiled themselves with women, for they are virgins. It is these who follow the Lamb wherever he goes. These have been redeemed from mankind as first fruits for God and the Lamb. So for Jesus. And in their mouth no lie was found, for they are blameless. So I think maybe I did that off stream, but let's get a breakdown on specifically who the purpose of these 144,000 particular people are. Because these will be people that are either they were either not saved, meaning like, because they're going to exist during the tribulation. They're going to be on earth during the tribulation, which means they were not saved when the rapture came. So they were either they're virgins and they were converted during the tribulation, or it's possible they were even born during the tribulation. So maybe they weren't even born yet when the rapture came. So, I mean, maybe that's possible. I don't know about that, but we'll see. But yeah, but definitely they would be people that were not saved, but then because obviously to be here during the tribulation, you would have had to have not been saved during the rapture. Otherwise, you would have been taken up already. Explain the 144,000 referenced in Revelation 14. In Revelation 14, the 144,000 appear in a vision standing with the Lamb on Mount Zion. This passage provides a descriptive profile of this group, often interpreted as the army of God or the redeemed. Identifying marks, according to the first few verses of the chapter, the 144,000 are distinguished by specific physical and spiritual markers. The seal, they have the name of the Lamb and his Father written on their foreheads. This acts as a divine mark of ownership and protection, contrasting the mark of the beast mentioned in the previous chapter, which we just read about. They sing a new song before the throne that no one else can learn. Okay, maybe I got this twisted up because I thought they were on earth. The location, they are standing on Mount Zion, which in biblical theology represents the dwelling place of God and the ultimate victory of his kingdom. Character and conduct. The ESV describes their lifestyle and moral standing with several key descriptions. Okay, I'm going to skip that part because it's not necessarily what I'm after here. The first fruits concept, Revelation calls them first fruits for God of the Lamb. In the Old Testament, the first fruits were the first portion of the harvest given to God, sanctifying the rest of the crop. This suggests that the 144,000 are a special group set apart early, a sign or down payment of the larger harvest of humanity to come. The identity of them is one of the most debated topics in Revelation. The literal interpretation, they are exactly 144,000 ethnic Jews, 12,000 from each tribe, who are converted to Christianity during the end times. Okay, so that's what I said would be one interpretation of it. And then the symbolic, the number is 12 times 12 times 1,000, symbolizing the fullness of God's people, Israel and the church. In this view, they represent the entire body of believers who remain faithful through the tribulation. I mean, it could be, none of us really truly know what it means, but I found that hard to believe just because that would be a very small amount of people, but maybe so. Maybe only that many people will. Yeah, who knows? But I just want to ask, so is it accurate that these 144,000 would be people who were not saved at the point of the rapture and were converted later? Whether that view is accurate depends on your eschatological. How the heck? Eschatological. There you go. Framework. System of end times interpretation you follow. The dispensational, I can't talk tonight, the dispensational view, post-raptured conversion. In this popular interpretation, often associated with the Left Behind series, I was talking about that yesterday. That's a great series, by the way, if you like to read books. That's a series around the whole book of Revelation with some fiction added characters and stuff like that. The rapture, the tribulation then comes, then the conversion. So I guess in that view, they would be people that converted after the fact. Which is interesting because I know other interpretations view, I don't know, I don't want to get caught up in that, even though it is interesting. We'll come back to that maybe later. But I want to get back to the scripture. So, who had been redeemed from earth. So we'll just stick with exactly what the scripture says for now. So They're specially marked. They're virgins. They are blameless. Verse 6. Then I saw another angel flying directly overhead with an eternal gospel to proclaim to those who dwell on earth, to every nation and tribe and language and people. And he said with a loud voice, "Fear God and give him glory, because the hour of his judgment has come, and worship him who made heaven and earth, the sea and the springs of water." Another angel, a second, followed, saying, "Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great, she who made all nations drink the wine of the passion of her sexual immorality." And another angel, a third, followed them, saying with a loud voice, "If anyone worships the beast and its image and receives a mark on his forehead or on his hand, he also will drink the wine of God's wrath, poured full strength into the cup of his anger, and he will be tormented with fire and sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb." So, I mean, that this is probably the most straightforward, about as straightforward as it gets in terms of like not getting twisted up in symbolism that you'll see in Revelation. But the reason I like this verse or these verses so much is it's telling you that it's going to be made very clear to everybody on earth. So where did it go? Yeah, right here, verse 6. Then I saw another angel flying directly overhead with an eternal gospel to proclaim to those who dwell on earth. So everybody on earth, to every nation, every tribe, every language and people. So everyone is going to get a chance to understand like what's what. There will be no ambiguity. No one's going to go to hell on accident. Is my interpretation here, because literally angels are going to come by, and it doesn't matter where you are on earth, what language you speak, supernatural beings are going to come and let you know, hey, now is the time. No more jacking around. It's the day of judgment. Worship God or go to hell. Take the beast. If you take the mark, you're going to go to hell. I mean, everyone will get a chance. Wild. And still, I mean, the Bible even says itself, as we'll read later, that some people still would just reject God. And it's, it is written. It's going to happen. It's hard for me to imagine that. But I guess, our pride is just that strong in some people. I don't know. It could be all manner of things. Okay, verse 11. And the smoke of their torment goes up forever and ever, and they have no rest, day or night, these worshippers of the beast and its image, and whoever receives the mark of its name. Here is a call for the endurance of the saints, those who keep the commandments of God and their faith in Jesus. And I heard a voice from heaven saying, "Write this, blessed are the dead who die in the Lord from now on. Blessed indeed, says the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, for their deeds follow them." That's hardcore. So let me explain. Revelation 14, ESV verse 13. Revelation 14:13 is often regarded as one of the most comforting passages in the New Testament, particularly within the context of Christian funerals. To understand the depth of this verse, it helps to break down its three primary components. Number one, blessed are the dead who die in the Lord. The word bless, makarios in Greek, implies a state of divine favor or deep happiness. This is a beatitude of the afterlife. The phrase "in the Lord" is the crucial qualifier. It refers to those who have a faithful, personal union with Christ. In the immediate context of Revelation, this likely refers to martyrs or those who remained faithful during intense persecution, which makes sense, right? Because immediately what we just read was if you the mark of the beast is going to be implemented as effectively the global currency. Like, it's going to be the only way that you're going to be able to go to the supermarket and buy groceries, get an account for internet, to buy a home, driver's license, everything. So you'll literally be an outcast, if you can only imagine what that would be like, not being able to even to use any of all the things we kind of just take for granted now. You won't have a way to trade or purchase anything. You'll have to live off the grid and eat out of trash cans and things of that nature. And you will have to make that choice if you find yourself in the position where you're living through the tribulation and you still want your soul to be saved. You're going to have to suffer physically. That's not a position you want to be in. Okay, where was I? Oh, I was reading the breakdown. My bad. Okay, that they may rest for their labors. The labors mentioned here aren't just everyday work, but the toil, suffering, and exhaustion of living in a fallen world. The contrast, unlike the wicked mentioned earlier in the chapter, who have no rest day or night, the faithful are promised a cessation of struggle. So an end to it, an end to their struggle. Sabbath rest. This echoes the biblical theme of an eternal Sabbath, a total peace that isn't just sleeping, but a refreshment of the soul. And third principle, for their deeds follow them. This is a nuance point in Christian theology. These deeds are not the cause of their salvation, but the evidence of it. Their faithful service, sacrifices, and love aren't forgotten or lost to time. Metaphorically, their works follow them to the throne of God as witnesses to their faith. Yeah. Okay. Let's go back. Verse 14. Then I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and seated on the cloud, one like a son of man. So I was confused about this, what this meant. This is like saying in his vision he saw someone that looked like Jesus. But since it was a vision, he wasn't sure if it was like Jesus himself. So that's why he says like a son of man, because Jesus is the Son of Man, with a golden crown on his head and a sharp sickle in his hand. Gosh. And another angel came out of the temple, calling with a loud voice to him who sat on the cloud, "Put in your sickle and reap, for the hour to reap has come, for the harvest of the earth is fully ripe." Pretty trippy. So if you can imagine Jesus sitting on a cloud with like a giant scythe or a sickle. Am I thinking of the same? I'm thinking of that thing that you usually see like a death carry, like with the hood, and like, when he comes for you when you die, like in Family Guy. Sickle. Yeah, so it is kind of the same thing. Why is it so slow? Well, whatever. It's basically the same thing, that curvy blades thing. So you guys know what it is. Okay, so the angel says to the guy on the cloud, "Put in your sickle and reap, for the hour to reap has come, for the harvest of the earth is fully ripe." So he who sat on the cloud swung his sickle across the earth, and the earth was reaped. Then another angel came out of the temple in heaven, and he too had a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar, the angel who has authority over the fire, and he called with a loud voice to the one who had the sharp sickle, Put in your sickle and gather the clusters from the vine of the earth, for its grapes are ripe. So the angel swung his sickle across the earth and gathered the grape harvest of the earth and threw it into the great winepress of the wrath of God. And the winepress was trodden outside the city, and blood flowed from the winepress as high as a horse's bridle for 1,600 stadia. So like a lot of people are going to get clapped like all at once is what it sounds like. But so let's do a breakdown on that, because that's hardcore. Explain Revelation 14. 14:14 through what's 20. That's a mouthful. What are we at? 26. Yeah, so we can end it with this one. Revelation 14 through 20 is a powerful cinematic vision of the end of the age. It uses the imagery of an earthly harvest to describe a heavenly judgment. The passage is split into two distinct reapings, the grain harvest and the grape harvest. The grain harvest, in the first scene, John sees one like a son of man sitting on a white cloud. Most scholars identify this figure as Jesus Christ, returning in glory. The symbols, the golden crown, symbolizes his royalty, and ultimate victory. The sharp sickle, the tool used for the harvest, representing the execution of judgment or the gathering of the faithful. So the saved people that would still be on the earth at that time would be the grain. The unsaved would be the grapes. The action, an angel comes out of the temple, signaling that the hour to reap has come. This implies that the harvest isn't random. It happens exactly when the earth is fully ripe. In the meaning, many interpret this first harvest as the gathering of the righteous, the wheat, similar to Jesus' parables about separating wheat from the weeds in the Gospels. And the second harvest, the grape harvest, the tone shifts dramatically here from the harvest of grain to a harvest of grapes. This section is much more intense and focuses on the judgment of the wicked. The angel with the sickle, a second angel appears, joined by an angel who has authority over fire. This fire often symbolizes the holiness and refining judgment of God. The winepress, the grapes representing those who have rejected God and aligned with Babylon, are gathered and thrown into the great winepress of God's wrath. And the result, the imagery is vivid and terrifying. The grapes are trodden outside the city, and blood flows from the winepress. Key themes, the concept of ripeness. The passage suggests that God allows human history to ripen. Evil is allowed to reach its full measure, and righteousness is allowed to mature before the final intervention occurs. Verse 20 mentions the blood rising as high as a horse's bridle for a distance of 1,600 stadia, roughly 180 miles. Literal versus symbolic. While some take the distance literally, roughly the length of Israel, most see it as symbolic, since 1,600 is 40 times 40, or 4 squared times 10 squared. It represents a judgment that is complete, square, and covers the four corners of the earth. Justice and accountability. The passage serves as a sobering reminder to the original readers, persecuted Christians, that while evil seems to prevail in the short term, there is a definitive harvest day where accounts are settled. Yeah. Okay, Revelation 15. And we're just a hair under 30, so that's all pretty heavy, so I think we'll call it there. We'll be back tomorrow. Sit and stew on this. I hope some of this lands with you. Don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to come back tomorrow. And yeah, God bless, and good night, y'all. Existence is punishment. What up, legend? What's up, bro? Appreciate you, man. Yeah, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Night, guys.